See Chandler Hopkins retreating to the opposite corner, trying to buy himself, and we expected. Oh my God! Nobody home on the moonsault. Little Mansour there. 1, 2, 3. Mansour.
Welcome to MLW Tonight. I'm your host, the wrestling snob, Adam Lavelle, and we're here to look at MLW Fusion number 94 as we prepare for MLW to return to live shows. But as we await for that, and hopefully that's going to happen very soon, we're going to continue to recap everything MLW did in 2020. And we're up to episode 94, as I said. So if you want to follow along, make sure you have watched MLW Fusion 94 as we recap it here. The show kicks off with Rich Bocchini introducing AJ Kirsch in the ring, who is there to hype the crowd up. You know, let us know it's time for the show. MLW is here, baby. Let's get riled up. Let's get ready to go. But he's quickly interrupted, almost immediately interrupted, by the music of the Contra unit. And out marches Joseph Samael, escorting the MLW World Champion Jacob Fatu and Simon Gotch to the ring. Rich Bocchini tells AJ Kirsch through the headset, through the earpiece, and we can hear him, to get out of the ring, to bail out, because, you know, Contra unit is not above taking a commentator out if they have to. And as a fellow commentator, I know what wrestlers like that are like. I mean, they just will not go there, unscrupulous. But AJ Kirsch bails out, and Joseph Samael takes over the microphone to just remind everybody that the Contra unit rules the wrestling world, and they are in absolute control of MLW, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. Now, the real scary thing about that is we got a quick clip, something a fan sent in from an NHL training camp, where Davey Boy Smith had been invited to help the hockey players learn to fight a little better, because you know how much fighting there is in the NHL. Hell, it's the reason a lot of people watch it. According to what I hear, I'm not a big NHL fan myself. But Davey Boy Smith was there to help teach them some holds and some grapple maneuvers for when they get in these skirmishes on the ice. But as he's doing this, he's jumped by Simon Gotch of the Contra unit. Taken out, taken down. Unbelievable. These people, other wrestlers within MLW, are not safe even outside confines of MLW venues. It's incredible. But as Joseph Samael is bragging about this, and again going on and on, waxing eternal about how great the Contra unit is, out comes Davey Boy Smith Jr. Now, he's got a microphone as well, and he's here to tell the Contra unit that they didn't finish the job, that he's not afraid of them, that they aren't intimidating to him, and that if they want to fight, he'll fight any one of them or all of them at once. And as Contra unit is mocking him and laughing at the very idea, suddenly what appears to be a fan slides into the ring, and he jumped the barricade, slid under the bottom rope, and starts wailing away on Contra unit members as Davey Boy Smith enters the ring to help him out. Now, how could a fan possibly have the kind of power and the prestige and the understanding of grappling and wrestling to take down and chase off Contra unit? Well, when his hat and coat came off, we saw that it was no fan. It was flying Brian Pillman Jr. And standing tall in the center of the ring was the Hart Foundation, chasing off, at least temporarily, the Contra unit, much to the fans' delight. This got a major ovation from the fans around ringside, because we've not seen this yet. Contra unit has done everything they've wanted to do, but for once, a group of wrestlers, two wrestlers, the Hart Foundation, Davey Boy Smith Jr. and Flying Brian Pillman Jr., chased the mighty Contra unit away. Man, that was impressive and a nice thing to see, and it gives MLW offices and fans some hope for the future. Now, next up, we got Injustice. You know him well, folks. Myron Reed and his cohorts, Jordan Oliver and Koto Brazil. They're here to tell us how great they are. Of course, you know, they're not afraid of anybody either. They're here to just make sure justice is served, because MLW doesn't treat them fairly. Now, they're out here not just to wrestle anyone, because whenever there's a match in MLW, there's always a reason. We don't just have a hodgepodge of matches thrown at the wall to see what sticks within Major League Wrestling. No, we learn through a quick cut interview with Conan that he was interrupted by Injustice. Conan's just out there giving an interview, talking about, you know, AAA and how they're working with MLW, and out to get in his face comes Injustice. Myron Reed, Jordan Oliver, Koto Brazil, to call him names, to taunt him, to tell him that, you know, they're not afraid of him or any of his AAA buddies or anything like that. Conan mocks them back and tells them, you're not afraid of any of my AAA guys? How about Drago? Well, that didn't really cause the guys to back up too much, but looked to be a little bit of a surprise there. Drago, a very world-renowned wrestler, famous from his time in Lucha Underground, coming in, according to Conan here, to take on Injustice. Maybe challenge for the middleweight championship of Myron Reed's. Conan's bringing in 2 tag teams to face Injustice here. 2 tag teams from AAA, and they are Taurus and Lowrider, and Drago and Puma King. They're going to be taking on Jordan Oliver and Koto Brazil as Myron Reed seconds them to the ring for this match. So we've got a triple threat tag team match as the kickoff match of MLW Fusion number 94. And what a match it was. Now, I'm not meaning an insult when I call it a car crash match, because that was actually Rich Bocchini and AJ Kirsch who said that. Folks, this was an exciting match. It was balls to the wall. It was nonstop. It was like a video game. It has to be. When you have 2 AAA teams and 2/3 of Injustice in the ring, it's going to be nonstop, and that's what it was. Move after move. It's hard for me to even recap it. It's something you have to see. The speed of these guys, the maneuvers they're pulling off, the way they're putting their bodies on the line, diving and jumping around is just something you have to see to believe. Now, I thought maybe Injustice would overcome here. It's something they really wanted to do. It's something I feel they needed to do, but they come up on the short end of the stick here. Now, the important thing is Jordan Oliver and Koto Brazil did not take the pinfall. Instead, it was Taurus, who had been teaming with Lowrider, taking the pinfall to Drago, who had been teaming with Puma King. So Drago gets the win here. Now that's important because Drago is indeed going to step up now and challenge Myron Reed for his MLW Middleweight Championship. Not this week, but the win here puts him in the spotlight, and that's what he wants from being in such a position, a shot at the prestigious MLW Middleweight title. So while Injustice suffers a setback here, if they can get a win, if Myron Reed can get a win against the mighty Drago, that will bump them up the card. All 3 of them. Yes, indeed. Because really, much like the Freebirds, when you get one member of Injustice, you get all 3. So let's see where that takes them. Next, we got a promo from the crazy, the one and only man of the people, Mance Warner. Because tonight, all these battles between Mance Warner, and Jimmy Havoc are going to come to a head in one of the most dangerous and bloody matches you can have in all of professional wrestling, when these two face off in a no-rope barbed wire match. Folks, if you don't understand what that is when they remove all the ropes from the ring, all 4 sides, and replace it with barbed wire. And they fight within the confines of that, being able to utilize the barbed wire. There's no rules. If you're going to put barbed wire in there, you can't have rules in the match. So this is something where 2 wrestlers that absolutely despise each other to the point of wanting to inflict career-ending damage, possible career-ending damage. And that's what we're going to see tonight. And that's what Mance Warner talks about, how he has battled Jimmy Havoc. He's beat Havoc. Havoc has beaten him. It's gone back and forth. It's something that doesn't seem to have an end. But this will bring it to an end. This will bring us closure. Mance Warner and Jimmy Havoc, who's going to have Priscilla Kelly in his corner, in a no-rope barbed wire match. In my opinion, folks, that's insane. It's crazy. I don't know why any athlete would want to participate in something so barbaric. But you're going to get it tonight in the main event of MLW Fusion number 94. Next, we had a recap of the Opera Cup finals. As you saw last week, hopefully you saw the Opera Cup. One of the most amazing tournaments in professional wrestling today, in my opinion. It came down to the Hart Foundation, who we saw earlier, Davey Boy Smith Jr., taking on Flying Brian Pillman Jr. We saw that last week. No need to go over it again. But we recap here on Fusion 94. We see Davey Boy Smith with the cup. The first winner in 71 years. Craziness. Davey Boy Smith taking it back to Calgary. And, you know, he's believes this should take him to the top of MLW, and why shouldn't it? MLW announces that the Opera Cup is now a staple, is now something regular that they will do going forward from here on out. We quickly cut to Joseph Samael, who's in the back area now. He's no longer in the ring, and he's calling out Davey Boy Smith. He's not happy with Flying Brian Pillman and Davey Boy Smith rushing the ring and running Contra Unit off. So he's going to challenge Davey Boy Smith, challenge him to a match, which is one of my favorite modern-day spins on professional wrestling, folks. If you're going to change wrestling at all, if you're going to evolve wrestling at all, the wrestling snob likes to see, is what they're calling a no-holds-barred fight. Let me quickly explain what a no-holds-barred fight is. Joseph Samael challenges Davey Boy Smith to face Simon Gotch in one of these matches. A no-holds-barred fight is when, much like a barbed wire match, not much like, but similar to, they remove the ropes, and there's nothing there. There's no barbed wire, there's no ropes, there's no nothing. It's just the mat. It's just the ring, the square ring. The competitors enter, and they face each other in a fight. Anything goes, but typically in these matches, these guys just want to use their fists because you do not win this match unless you get your opponent to submit or you knock him stone cold out. That's what a no-holds-barred fight is, and we're going to see one of those because Davey Boy Smith then accepts this no-holds-barred fight with Simon Gotch. Going to be great stuff when we see this matchup. Folks, it's something you don't want to miss. MLW brings you the greatest wrestling in the world, and this is going to be another must-see match. No-holds-barred fight, Davey Boy Smith Jr., Simon Gotch. Next up, we got a match with a guy that I've really come to like in the world of professional wrestling, something that I don't say too often because I'm very picky. But we've got Chandler Hopkins. He's got a cowboy country gimmick, but not over the top. No more near over the top than any other cowboy you might see in another world of professional wrestling. And he comes out to, I'm a mark for this song, ladies and gentlemen. A country boy can survive. I grew up in the country, even though I live in the city now. I grew up in the country. I was always a big proponent and fan of that song. Hank Williams Jr.'s classic. A country boy can survive. Chandler Hopkins. Who is he going to face? Low Key, ladies and gentlemen. Nobody more dangerous to face in the land of MLW in your debut than Low Key. And I'm saying that because, wow, what an impression Chandler Hopkins makes here. He gives Low Key close to a 15-minute match, going back and forth, hold for hold, maneuver for maneuver. MLW, I'm going to throw it out there. Guys, get Chandler Hopkins back. Sign this guy. He's legit a great middleweight contender here. Again, going toe-to-toe, back and forth with a guy like Low Key, and I'm going to call it the match of the night here. I love this matchup. It was entertaining. It was fun. It was hold for hold. It was my style of work to see in that professional wrestling ring. Low Key comes out on top, but only after a very tough fight, and I could see it in Low Key's eyes that he grew much in his regard and his respect for Chandler Hopkins, as I did, as I was unfamiliar with him before this matchup. Check Chandler Hopkins out here. It was a wonderful, wonderful match. Next up, we got a quick interview with Tom Lawler, Filthy Tom Lawler, and his protege, his friend, his tag team partner, member of the Filthy Dojo, Dominic Guarini. And they're here saying, again, that they're going to take out the Von Erichs. They're going to do whatever they want to do. They're legitimate fighters. They're MMA stars. They are mixed martial artists. And Dominic Guarini is here to add to the danger of the Filthy Squad. And I don't think they're done building the Filthy Squad. So this is something you want to pay attention to. Lawler and Guarini are legit tough guys. They are legit MMA stars. They are legit Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu stars. And they're bringing their craft to MLW together as a unit and possibly bringing other guys similar to them in. Could be an interesting time in MLW going forward with that. We quick get a flash of all kinds of words as the music plays about something about death and dying. What is this talking about? It's talking about, as you see his name flashed up very, very close to the end of the video, Eric Stevens. Eric Stevens has a very large reputation, meaning a lot of guys don't like facing him, much like Low Key. Low Key has the reputation of being a legitimate tough guy, a legitimate guy that could knock you out with a strike. Eric Stevens has a very similar reputation, coming to MLW very soon. We just get a teaser with his music. We don't get any clips of him or anything like that. His reputation precedes him. We get a clip of his music. Eric Stevens is coming. And we get a Fightland Control Center. At this point, Fightland is coming very soon, February 1st, 2019, to the ECW Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Let me grab my notes here. I'm just going to read off the card that's coming up. You can download this from Fight TV. It is an amazing show. And when I read these matchups, if you don't have the desire to go out and watch this show again or buy it so you can save it onto your computer like I have, I'll never understand it. We've got Alexander Hammerstone, the MLW National Openweight Champion, taking on T-Hawk. T-Hawk of the Strong Hearts from the land of the rising sun, from Japan. That would be an incredible match in and of itself. We've got Killer Cross, the guy who just had to give up the NXT Heavyweight Championship due to injury. He's here at Fightland to take on Tom Lawler. Filthy Tom Lawler. What a match that will be. We got Flying Brian Pillman Jr. in a first-time ever match against Jimmy Havoc. Jimmy Havoc is going to move on from Mance Warner after this week's main event. And here, he's going to be taking on Flying Brian Pillman Jr. We got Jacob Fatu defending the MLW World title against Sema, also of Strong Hearts, also from Japan. If you don't know who Sema is, get your head out of the sand. Great wrestler from Japan, going to take on Jacob Fatu for the MLW World title. Could we see a title change? It's possible. Sema has been all over the world and has held more titles than I can count. We've got Low Key taking on King Mo. King Mo has stormed into MLW insisting that he can beat anybody in the world. Insisting. He's challenged Low Key. He's challenged Jacob Fatu. He's challenged Davey Boy Smith. I mean, this guy, he is charismatic and he is well known. King Mo in the land of MMA. He's won multiple titles. He has been heralded all over the mixed martial arts world. And here, he's going to take on Low Key. And this should be an amazing match. Davey Boy Smith is going to take on the soon-to-debut Eric Stevens, the man I just mentioned earlier that we got a teaser of with his music. He's going to be facing Davey Boy Smith. Davey Boy Smith at this point in MLW is one of the biggest stars in the company. Eric Stevens is going to come in and soon after face Davey Boy Smith. That shows you what MLW thinks of Eric Stevens. The Von Erichs are going to make their debut as the MLW Tag Team Champions, their first time debut in the city of Philadelphia. And returning also is LA Park, one of the most famous luchadors of all time, returning to MLW at Fightland on February 1st, 2019. Look that card up, buy that card at Fight TV, save it to your computer, reference back often. Those matches I just read to you are as good as any crazy, or maybe we should call it WrestleMania, that I've ever seen. That's an incredible card and worth your time. Next, we cut to an interview where Alicia Atout is talking to MJF. And MJF will soon be facing Marshall Von Erich, which is a very good matchup. That's one of the things I really like about the Von Erichs. They can work as a tag team, they can work as singles, and they're going to be working as a single. Marshall will be taking on MJF. Now, MJF addresses that, but jumps a little ahead. In my opinion, making a mistake, as he calls out Mance Warner. MJF, the sophisticated, wealthy, educated young man, is insulted by the common, filthy, in his opinion, these aren't my words, the trailer park trashy kind of guy, as MJF sees him, Mance Warner, and he's calling him out. He wants to set him straight. He says, I want to show you what a real professional wrestler is. To be overlooking Marshall Von Erich, to get your hands on the crazy Mance Warner, as we're going to see soon. Bold move, MJF, which may lead to something you're not really looking forward to. But I appreciate the courage. Finally, MLW reminds us that before this main event starts, we get a warning on our screen that this may not be suitable for all audiences because it's going to be very graphic. And they remind us that the only other time we've seen a no-roped barbed wire match in the confines of Major League Wrestling is when Terry Funk took on Steve Corino way back in the days, the early days of MLW. Now, can you believe that Mance Warner and Jimmy Havoc's hatred toward each other could equal that of Terry Funk and Steve Corino? That's a pretty big statement. But the ring is set up and we're ready to go for the most violent match in MLW's history. Probably equaling Funk versus Corino. And yes, I'm saying that, folks. Again, not my style of match. This is barbaric to me. I'm a sophisticated guy, and I like my wrestling like the Opera Cup. But I'm willing to accept that there are fans who like this hardcore stuff, and so I embrace it as part of what Major League Wrestling brings to you fans and myself. But this was very hard to watch for me. Grimacing, brutal, as they just literally tore the ring apart. They threw each other through tables. They wrapped the barbed wire around each other like a crown of thorns. Now, not as sacrilegious as the ECW angle was saying, man, don't misinterpret me. But they really ripped each other's flesh to shreds, just pillar to post. Unbelievable. I think it was about a 20-minute match, 20 to 25 minutes. And every single minute of this was hardcore heaven, if that's what you're into. In the end, though, we saw the winner be crowned, and that winner was Mance Warner. Mance Warner overcomes Jimmy Havoc, putting him through tables. Finally, in the end, he stacked several pieces of the table. He stacked several chairs. He wrapped barbed wire around Havoc and pile drove him onto that stack of debris and pinned him for the 1, 2, 3. I believe ending the Mance Warner and Jimmy Havoc feud, with Mance Warner on top, likely moving on, maybe, possibly, to MJF coming up in the near future. But another very good show from MLW. A main event, while not my style, did something within the arena of hardcore that you just don't see very often. Very brutal. Mance Warner, the ending shot where, he had barbed wire wrapped around his head and the blood's just gushing down, the crimson mask, if you will. Standing there, proud of himself and everything he accomplished by destroying Jimmy Havoc in this match. That was MLW Fusion 94, folks. We are, again, moving forward to the MLW restart. I appreciate you joining me. I'm Adam Lavelle, the Wrestling Snob, and we'll see you again next week for MLW Fusion number 95. Check it out. And until then, have a good week.